Welcome everybody to Saturday Training. I want to welcome you to this call and thank you very much for all your hard work, all the distributors who are working really hard out there. Really appreciate that. Anything that we say in this video here is not construed to diagnose, treat, or mitigate any kind of disease. We don't advocate any type of diagnosis or protocol to help with disease. If you are ill or sick, please consult your medical practitioner and see what advice that he has for you. I wanted to bring your attention today to our fabulous products, especially gel number 2 and gel number 4. Okay, and I want to give you an idea of exactly where our gels come from, and what actually the effect they produce on our body, and how our hormonal pathways are established in the body. Everything is made out of the beautiful molecule called cholesterol. There's a huge push to bring cholesterol down in our society in relation to our body levels. And that has produced an adverse effect upon testosterone, DHEA, estrogen values in the body, cortisol values in the body. So those drugs that do take cholesterol down, not good, not good. Cholesterol is necessary, especially to make pregnenolone. Pregnenolone here, as you see, is a second uh, on the downstream side, the hormonal pathway here. Pregnenolone is the master. Pregnenolone, progesterone are the master hormones, where pregnenolone is the master hormone. Pregnenolone turns into DHEA, and then that turns into testosterone and estrogen. So just in relation to DHEA, I'm going to read something from this book. It's called Take Control of Your Health and Escape the Sickness Industry. It is a really, really good book if you guys want to get one for yourself. A woman in Australia wrote this. Anyways, what it comes down to, it says your body is an incredible, complex, sophisticated computer. And it's wiser than you or I are and understands your needs better than any doctor can. So if you can provide it with the right amounts of progesterone and pregnenolone, it will very likely be nudged into making its own DHEA and other hormones needed for its well-being. And it says these two precursors, progesterone and pregnenolone, are very, very safe to take, right? After a few months, you will discover if they're doing a good job of regulating your other hormones. Now, if your tests reveal a lack of DHEA or testosterone, your doctor is likely to prescribe doses that are way too high. Dr. Pete says that at the age of 50, about 4 milligrams of DHEA per day will usually restore a level of DHEA to a youthful level. Large amounts of sex hormones can disturb the function of the thymus gland and the liver. Women have reported that they were prescribed 15 to 20 milligrams per day and had bad side effects, swollen, painful breast, anxiety, and indicated that, as Dr. Pete's warned, the DHEA turned into estrogen or testosterone. He advised the DHEA is needed badly. It must be carefully monitored, even though high levels that are normally present in healthy people would suggest that replacement doses to restore these normal levels would not likely to produce toxic side effects. So the moral of the story is anybody over the age, I'd say 40, 4 milligrams of DHA per day. That's just the tip for that. Another interesting thing I read in this book is anecdotal, and it was interesting thing what happened with me. And it's on page 261. It says, check your short and curlies. Interesting bit of trivia came my way years ago, and I'll pass it on to you. People who are fortunate to have strong adrenal glands, and that means strong hormonal pathways, right, have kinky pubic hair. In youth, of course, all healthy people have kinky hair. But those with weak adrenals find that the curl lessens with age and comes to resemble a drowned mouse by middle age or even earlier. I wouldn't mention this a somewhat touchy subject, except that it is instructive. When a weak adrenal type becomes seriously ill and takes an extremely strong drug, his or her pubic hair will suddenly become curly again. This happens because the way the drug works. It is not, contrary to what people may surmise, because the drug is smart and zeroes in on the cause of the illness and zaps it. It is because the drug whips the already exhausted adrenal glands and forces them to do their job of suppressing the illness. So the patient is not getting better, but is getting over the worst of the symptoms because his or her adrenals have been stimulated. Once the drug is discontinued, the lank pubic hair returns, and illness, which has been suppressed, not banished, lies in wait for the next opportunity to surface. So if the patient does not get serious about diet, more drugs will be given, and eventually the poor, exhausted adrenals will simply lie down and give up. So my advice, have a look at your private area, and if the short and curlies are not curly, and if you want to have a long, healthy life, adopt the rules in this book. So interesting, what does this have to do with us? Well, what this, I was observing uh, my pubic hair, and what occurred was that I'm 67 now, and before I started this game with Celluvation, started taking the products, we had Father White Christmas down there, and also that drowned rat appearance, right? That's not so anymore. It's restored back to a natural curly, uh, uh, and I thought, because I mean you can't tell on top of my head, but and I suggest, well, I was going to suggest in jest, do before and afters, but don't have. You can remember it yourself. It's an awesome indicator. It's an awesome indicator of how your hormonal pathways are working. You know, it's a good indicator of that. And having to do with that, you see our gel number 2, the cellular hydration gel, helps the pituitary in order to activate, your thyroid and also adrenals, also via that axis, the HPA axis, right? So that is really important because when you put the cream on your face and your neck, what happens is that then this will help stimulate the pituitary to produce those hormonal pathways that are really, really beneficial for your body. And the same thing also for testosterone. Testosterone, there's a lot of myths about testosterone. There's a myth that testosterone can cause heart attacks and vascular disease. Actually, clinical trials has proven contrary to that. It actually proven that testosterone, lack of testosterone is a good indicator of vascular disease, like a precursor to vascular. If your testosterone levels, your doctor checks your T levels, and if they're low, it can be a good indicator that you're heading for vascular disease or even a heart attack. And also the same thing even with the C word. They have even using therapeutic levels of testosterone in order to zap and kill cancer. So, and also there's one video I was watching. Into testosterone, this one heart surgeon, his heart attack patient came in and said, I'm on HRT, hormonal replacement therapy, right? And what should I do? Should I stop that? He said, no, 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 no. Keep testosterone levels in that, because that'll help you not to have a heart attack. Now, optimal range of testosterone are cardioprotective. And as a matter of fact, have you ever heard of anybody in their 20s or 20 or 30s having heart attacks? No, they're because their testosterone levels are adequate, you see. So as you see, cholesterol turns to pregnenolone, it goes down the pathway, and then testosterone is created here, and also estrogen. So that is an overview I wanted to take a look at, and just keep a look at that area. And I know what everybody's going to do after this call. But anyways, it's an important thing. And we have many successes having to do with our gel number 4, because also gel number 4 has oxaloacetate acid in it. It activates the biogenesis of mitochondria. The mitochondria are those little energy units in your, let's say the heart, for example, has 5,000 per cell. 5,000, imagine that, of those little mitochondria in each heart cell. Because get this, testosterone, you heard builds muscle. Well, guess what the heart is? Muscle. It's the most beautiful muscle on the planet, and it works. It's the hardest working muscle we have. So you apply testosterone gel, oxaloacetate will help help that, especially if you put it from your wrist to your elbow. That's the meridian lines for your heart and pericardium channels in acupuncture. So that is like an overview, a little tiny overview of what we're addressing here with our product. It helps. It actually aids in the homeostasis of hormonal pathways. It aids the body, and that's the key. This aiding or assisting, it doesn't push it. It doesn't drive it. It doesn't force it. It doesn't, and that's the beauty of it. It sings this beautiful song, this beautiful harmony, and it creates this melody in our body, which is what we all want to achieve. And with this melody, then you achieve beautiful stuff like not walking around in pain and agony and not having to go to the hospital for a heart attack. We're into prevention in this company. Prevention, prevention, prevention. It's worth so much with us, right? So now what I'd like to do, I'd like to bring a special guest speaker today. Johnny Mack, are you on board here?
Hi, Steve.
Hey.
Hello, everyone.
Good morning. Well,
I was just checking my short and curlies there, Steve.
Oh, yeah, I knew that. Yeah. It's okay because you can only see the top part of your body, you see? Yeah, welcome, Johnny. And what I'd like to do is, Johnny, he's a veteran MLMer. He's been in the industry for over 35 years. Johnny has not only been a very successful distributor, but also he has worked on the corporate side. He has insight into the MLM industry like I don't know anybody has. Me compared to Johnny is like I have still white milk on my upper lip here. And so I wanted to bring on a veteran to really, dive into, what we have here and how you can actually boost your business, right? So, Johnny, first of all, like you shared with me your experience with our products. Could you just briefly, just go ahead, or it doesn't have to be brief. You can tell us about what happened with you and your journey with our company.
Sure. So I'm like many of the others that are listening. I'm relatively new. It's been 3 weeks since I got my hands on these wonderful products. I'm 63 years old. I'm 5'10", 177 pounds. I don't take any prescriptions. I haven't had any diseases diagnosed, but I was a competitive athlete most of my life, and I've had over 7 concussions. So I live with predictable symptoms of closed head injuries. I'm not going to go into all those things because it'll just get you sad. But the good news is that these products have helped me tremendously. So for 3 weeks, I've been taking once a day youth crystals, and twice a day I apply the #2 gel. And I have to tell you guys that, I'm a coffee drinker. I don't often prefer tea, but this youth crystals is very pleasant. If somebody served it to me the first time and said, here, let's have a cup of tea together, I wouldn't have questioned what it was. It's a very pleasant taste. And from the very first time I tried it, I felt energized. I knew something was going on. My body was telling me, let's keep this up. So there was a certain amount of energy and mental clarity that came to me from the very first time I drank the youth crystals. I can't tell you for sure what I'm experiencing specifically with the gel, but I can tell you back to my PTSD symptoms, if you will. What I'm finding is that when I wake up in the morning, I can wake up clear-headed after 5 hours, and I feel like I would have normally felt after 8 or more hours of sleep. So there's a tremendous improvement in the quality of sleep, and I think that affects my mood. In other words, I'm finding myself here after, and this happened literally within the first 3 days, but I started to feel this sense, and I've heard others mention it, but I have a sense of gratitude and patience with others that I deal with each day. And that's, at this point in my life, that's incredible, but something I think more profound, and that is that one of the symptoms that has been nagging at me for maybe 8 years or more, it's the onset of vertigo. And it didn't always happen every day, but recently it was happening every day. And it would block my vision, right? Knock off my equilibrium, my balance. That time of day, I would actually feel like I'm going cross-eyed, couldn't see clearly, so I wouldn't drive. But within 2 weeks of taking these products, all of those symptoms have gone away. I can sit down now at the same time of day I used to get my vertigo, and if I want to watch a television program or something, I don't have any trouble concentrating on it. So that's remarkable. I don't feel sleepy at any point in time, but a few times over the last 21 days, I'll stretch out on the couch and just see if I can take a nap. Bam, 10 minutes later, wow, was that great. So these are remarkable symptoms, and I really appreciate Josh and Steve, you and Tom, and those that have made this opportunity available. So now I think we can go help other people. So any questions about any of that, Steve?
No, that's cool. You see, this life-sustaining energy that it comes from Africa, with baobab fruit and rooibos tea. This life-sustaining molecules give the body a chance to recover and enjoy a younger situation, right? So now, Johnny, I'd like to change gears over and now talk about the MLM industry specifically. Now, I haven't asked you any of these questions or anything before. This is all going to be offhand, but I'm interested to know, from you being a veteran and you've seen the ups and downs of this industry, the successful MLMers, and you especially, I'd like to view it maybe even from the corporate side. I'll let you go whichever way you want to on this. But what is the characteristics that are necessary for an MLMer to be successful in this business?
That's great, because there are two answers, and one of them is very dependent on what's required of the brand, the company that the wannabe successful MLMer represents. So we can get into that if you want, but
oh yeah, go ahead.
Well, a proven concept is important. It's also critical that a company has a unique product, and I think most of us can quickly imagine some of the offerings that we've seen recently. They sounded and looked just like other offerings that we've seen and heard of. So there are many companies that are, jumping on bandwagons and trying to duplicate the success of other companies. So this is the unique element that I know that we have here with Celluvation, and my decades of experience, and I did a lot of digging to verify, confirm for myself that this is a unique product, and there isn't another company that's doing what Josh is doing with these products that we're promoting at Celluvation. So that's an important element. Integrity in management. And Steve, I think you can address this probably more effectively than I can, because you've been, of those that I've met through my Celluvation experience, you're the one that's closest to Josh, the man. I've met him, and on the phone at least. He's a no-nonsense, very direct, get things done kind of guy. That's my assessment. It's not a mature company, even though the product's been proven now for a number of years and improved over that period of time. We're still at a startup, and so for that reason, describing the management and the culture of the company is not really something we can do yet. So that's up to those of us on this training call, is to help craft that, the image, the corporate culture, we'll call it. These are important things with companies. Legal compliance, and this is very important, because many people have a good idea and it's not a big idea, and they can get away with what they think they can get away with. And in other words, cutting corners or overlooking details that can later be scrutinized by regulatory authorities. So I know that sounds fancy, but the point is, the company has to begin with the right pieces in place and the right kind of planning. And I've also met some of the others that Josh and Steve have recruited to help the company get those things taken care of. And so compliance is a very important piece of it. That's really a legal area. And any integrity-based management team is going to make that a priority. And the reason for that is that if a company gets any kind of success and finds that they're forced to make changes to their business model, in this case, we'll just call it, let's say, their commission plan, it always has a negative impact, even though it was done for good reasons. So we want to see the company avoid that. So you've heard, and if you haven't, you will, but there have been some changes, some tweaks being made to the business model for reasons that the average person might not understand. I think I've just explained it. So there you have it, Steve. That's what's important over on the corporate side, in my opinion. And I just, for the record, I've been the CEO and president of a handful of companies in this industry.
That's awesome. I just want to touch a little bit on those two things before you go into the next area. Oh, number one, I haven't met a man who, in relation to a business owner or business executive, who wants to do the right thing as much as Josh has. I have not. I consider him a friend now. Actually, I consider him a friend 2 months, 2 months into working with him, because I've seen how he works, and he works for the benefit of the organization, the distributor. As a matter of fact, as you know, we're looking at the legal aspects of our company in relation to the compensation plan, and the person who is in charge of that and creating that back office thing, he said he hasn't ever seen an executive ever so determined to give all his money away to his distributors. So that's a good thing. And Josh sometimes errs on that side. So just let you know that 50% rule, he goes sometimes over and above and beyond that, So in relation to the legal compliance, when we get this new compensation plan put together and put it into concrete, then this is going to be stable, and it's going to be sustaining us for decades. It's not going to be changed every week. We're going to have one comp plan, and it's going to be everybody going to understand it, make it simple, and it's going to be consumer friendly for distributors and also for the consumer. So those two areas, like Johnny Mac said, we're at the startup stage right now, and I appreciate very much your patience, because I know from a practitioner's point of view what we have here. But that doesn't mean hill of beans if we can't distribute it out to the world, and if we have the FTC coming down our neck and shutting us down in 2 years after all our hard work. That would be the worst thing possible, So, and okay, Johnny. Now, what is the second part of this thing here you're talking now?
Well, you opened up the second part, and I'm going to go over into the territory that I think Tom Scheffler is probably better equipped to present. He's a good leader of people, and but it comes down to now, what does it take to be successful as a distributor, an independent contractor? Okay? In other words, each one of us listening, taking notes, because we're building our own individual brand, and so that's the most important thing, is that a distributor has to be a determined entrepreneur, fully expecting to go out and make an effort to yield some kind of results that wouldn't have otherwise appeared, and then we get paid for it. So that takes motivation, focus, and clarity. And typically then, once we've got a distributor that's prepared to go out and be successful, the company has to now provide that distributor with the correct tools. And that falls back into that compliance section that we were talking about. And I have a reason to believe, behind the curtain, behind the scenes, Josh and Steve and others are working with the professional people that can get the knowledge and the information that we have, which is powerful information, organized in a way that the average person can join our team. And now they're equipped with the correct tools. And here's we used to, back in the day, we used to say, just push play. Can you learn to do that? Right, Steve? Yeah. And essentially, with the new tools that technology gives us, we can get a lot of information to people by just push and play. So those are tools that are under development. And that's very important. And Steve, you touched on something that I've analyzed by looking at the company's compensation model. But that is, of course, that it has to be equitable, meaning we know the company, to be successful long-term, has to make some money. So as distributors, we don't resent the company sharing some of the profit margins. But the company also has to be generous. And I'm saying this to you guys because I believe that Josh, his preparation to pay the distributors in his business model that Celluvation has, is to see that the distributors actually get to enjoy commissions that are roughly half of the revenue that we generate. And in this industry, we compare it to some of the giants that have been around a long time. That's actually double what other companies pay. So I know you didn't intend to make this a comp plan training, but I see a generous compensation plan here with Celluvation, and the average entrepreneur has to see that, hey, this can generate reliable income for me, and I can use that money to do X, Y, Z, whatever it is that's important in my life or your life. So those are important tools. Then the most important piece that I think it lacks for most people in this industry is that if you want to be successful in an industry that you've never had success in before, for those people especially, it's absolutely essential that you make a commitment to invest in yourself, because growth is necessary. The stamina, the perseverance, the patience, and discernment, I would say. These are things then that become critical in we'll call it the diplomacy of being a successful network marketer. And that's something that often is lacking from companies, that they don't have the tools or the direction to point people in order for them to get into personal development. And that's a concept that I think people kind of dismiss too easily, personal development. But it's back to learning to become somebody that's stronger and bigger and better than we were yesterday. That's my commitment to personal development anyway. So Steve, that's my answer to the other part of your question.
Hey, Steve, can I interject a couple quick things?
Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
I just wanted to address a couple of things. One thing that you said, Steve, one thing that Johnny Mack said. Johnny, you referred to this, Steve, you referred to this as a new comp plan that we have, just so everybody understands. It's not going to be completely redone. There's just some additional enhancements and tweaks that are going to be made to the existing plan. It's not like, it scares people away. I've been doing this a long time about new compensation plan. And the other thing is that, Johnny, you made a comment about the startup. One of the things, the company, as I understand, has been around 4 years. And so the startup failure potential is minimal right now with this company, because Joss has been doing this solidly for 4 years with these products and knows what he's got and everything, and is funded to be able to adequately funded to be able to take it forward in the network marketing realm. And so I believe we pre-launch is pretty much because once they get everything in place that needs to be in place, compensation plan, the back office, and all the things, customer program, and everything, now we can officially launch the company, or they can officially launch the company. We together as a team can do that. But anyway, I just wanted to interject that. Sorry.
That's very good, Tom. Thanks. Johnny Mack, now, this industry gives a person a lot of ups and downs. And how does one stay steadfast onto one's goal and pursuits?
If I could give you a real good answer, I should be off writing the book, right? And there's an expression that I find myself using when I'm counseling people that I work with in this business, and that's managing expectations, of course, is an important piece. And you're just touching on what expectations one should have, right? In other words, if I was recruiting you, Steve, I don't want to tell you this is going to hurt like hell, right? Instead, I'm going to tell you, look, you might have to do some work that you haven't done in the past. You may want to learn how to do some things that you haven't had success with in the past. And so this is my answer to that. Really comes back to that first commitment to personal development. And I think any good sponsor in this industry is going to be able to very quickly, right, determine, with the help of their uplines, maybe more experienced people, but determine what it is that each one of our new recruits is expecting to get out of the business. And then we're going to give them a plan on how to achieve it. And it can really come down to, right, how do we endure? Okay. The other thing that I often see myself explaining to people is that anytime you go into business for yourself, and I've owned businesses and operated successfully outside of this industry, but I've also had success inside the MLM industry, and that life gets in the way. And sometimes it's because of unpredictable things that happen in people's lives. And that's going to happen in all of our lives. We're going to find excuses to stop doing what we committed to doing yesterday or last week. And that's when life gets in the way. And so expecting that, and then essentially pulling up our bootstraps when something unexpected does happen, we have to stick to the fundamentals. And that is, if your business needs to grow, you need to make X number of calls. You have to do this many invitations. You need to get these many people to listen to what Tom has to say and what Steve has to say. These are the fundamentals that we have to do and replicate regularly, even when life is getting in the way. And the job there really is being a strong sponsor. And I think that if each of us could learn to be a better sponsor, then the people that we bring into the business will have more success.
Oh, very good, John. Now that you bring a good point up there is because when in 2 or 3 years from now, when you're and when you want to retire or you give your this thing to you like an inheritance to your children or something like that, it's important to train other sponsors to do the same thing as you. In other words, you don't leave an empty seat. You always have people that you're actually training, you're bolstering, you're getting them better to do what you do. Like the purpose of a leader is to inspire, be inspirational to the best of one's ability, and also to take this inspiration to the next generation and next generation. So you're inspiring more than one person in order to be a leader, because that's the only way you're going to really build a big business. So yeah, it's important, to think long term, and it's important to think in futures, because what you create in present time in your mind is what's going to happen in the future. I mean, if you create a good, wonderful future for you and your family, because that's what we want. We all want to live as long as we can, be free of pain as long as we can, and at the end of life, we don't want to have these tubes sticking into our throats and mouths and respirators keeping us alive. That's why I'm here. That's why I love these products so much, because they give you a chance or hope to get your body into better shape, mentally, physically, and it is absolutely awesome. It's just a gorgeous thing. Oh, I was going to maybe share one result. As a matter of fact, I think Tom's going to have her come out on next. I'll give you just a teaser maybe here. Let's see if I can bring this up.
While you're doing that, Steve, I was going to say what Johnny lost his train of thought on was training other people in this industry so that you can have that time freedom when you want to get to the point where you can retire, with this opportunity where you teach them to teach, and that way you've got some time flexibility to enjoy what you've made rather than being attached to your phone 24/7.
Right. I think Tom's going to have her on the meeting. Rita is her name. Is going to be there Tuesday. So if you want to get a real in-depth story, I'm not going to. This is just a teaser here. This is what happened in 7 days with her, with gel number 2 and our youth crystals. Now, to me, that's mind-blowing. That is awesome. That is like 4th of July fireworks type achievement. I imagine what the body has to do in order to transform to such a degree. You know what I mean? So this, folks, this is what we have. And I'd like to say, is there anything else that you want to say, Johnny, while we're still here?
Yeah, and thanks, Tom, for filling in. Yeah, the thing I wanted to emphasize to everyone is that term sponsorship, it's just used too loosely in our industry. People think it's just a way to connect ones and zeros. But this is a relationship business. So back to the thrust of your question, that was, well, what's it take to be successful? And I think Tom was emphasizing what I think I want everyone to recognize, and that is it is a relationship business. And I want each person, because I know it's important to me, to take it very seriously when they have an opportunity to sponsor somebody, bring them into our Celluvation corporate culture. And you've got a responsibility, and sponsorship responsibilities never die. But until we can train people, like Tom just said, if Tom could train me to be as good as he is, then I wouldn't resent Tom for sipping on a beverage on the beach while I'm going to work. But that's because duplication is the result of commitment to these relationships. So it's a relationship business, and that can be more fulfilling in many cases. And I hope that's the case here with Celluvation. But the fulfillment that we can get from seeing other people improve their lives can be more rewarding than the benefits of the products that we're promoting. And that's why this business appeals to people that are real emotional relationship nurturers, people that care about other people. They have some tools that will allow them to be successful in this industry. And we all know people like that. So that, I think, was the only thing I can add, Steve. This has been a good training.
Thanks very much. That imagine, and the perfect point is like, imagine how good the sponsor feels. Rita sponsor. I don't even know who Rita sponsor is. I haven't met Rita personally myself, and yet, so this is the beauty of our industry. Somewhere you're touching lives that are not even in your neighborhood. It could be in another country. And imagine the fulfillment that the sponsor has every time they meet Rita now, and the joy they get from that. Because we produce effects, we want to produce good effects, and it is awesome to do that. That's what we live for. A being is only as valuable as he can serve others. That is, I love that motto. Anyways, thank you, Johnny Mac. Thank you for your in-depth, beautiful veteran knowledge, and also Tom for your input. And I just want to end off here right now and end the recording, and then we'll just take any questions that anybody has.